Hello, and this is Saturday Morning Recorded, and I'm your host, Cohen Vogel. And for today's special guest, that was my tour guide in Europe, Estreffi. For your weekly tidbit of news, it's that unlike the cello, violin, and bass, it's that the viola is not sized, half size, quarter size, three-quarter size like the other three. It is actually sized where it's like you get a 15-inch viola or a 15.5-inch viola. And it's very interesting that the viola isn't grouped by sizing like the others. I don't know. It's interesting. Here's our special guest. Here's our special guest this week, my tour guide, Estreffi. So for your first question, why did you want to become a tour guide?
I love to, you know what? I never picture myself working in an office. I never picture myself working in a hotel. And the other possibility when I studied tourism was becoming a tour guide. And that involves a lot of traveling. So I said, why not? And I loved it.
What is your favorite part about being a tour guide?
Meeting people like you. Honestly, it's true. I enjoy people very much. And I enjoy showing them things around. I enjoy traveling with them, making, discover new places, new food, Honestly, I love that. I love that.
So what are some of the languages you're able to speak?
I have to admit that I'm good with languages. I speak English because I went to the United States to learn it. But my second language is French. When I was growing up, I'm from Spain, so I speak Spanish as my mother tongue. And then I learned French. I studied English. I had to work in Italian, so I had to study Italian. And later on, I lived in Prague, so I learned Czech. And well, it's not that I speak Czech fluently, but I enough to get by. And then I learned Portuguese. I went to Portugal to learn Portuguese as well.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. And what has been your favorite spot that you visited over your tour guiding years?
It's hard to decide on one, but I remember not going as a tour guide, but going on my private life to visit Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, and I love that city. I fell in love with that city. I have to say it. I fell in love with Rio de Janeiro. It has a lot to offer. And it's so beautiful. I thought at that time it was the most beautiful city I've ever seen. So
very cool. And for your final question, what is your favorite book?
Yeah. Wow, it has changed over the years, but you know what? I love books about history. And there is the Pillars of Earth. The Pillars of Earth is about a cathedral, the construction of a cathedral. And that is so interesting. Yeah, I know it became like a bestseller, but all the books that talk about construction in the medieval times, they got me. So I love that one.
Gracias. Here's 30 Seconds of Nature. Here's Eva's word of the week.
Surrogate.
Here's the Take 5. Here's this week's Take 5. For your first question, are you a morning person or night person?
Morning, definitely.
Second question, how do you like your eggs?
Sunny side up.
Third question, what is your favorite sitcom?
Oh, sitcom. Friends.
Fourth question, have you ever peed in a pool?
Have you ever, I'm sorry?
Peed in a pool?
Of course I have.
And for your final question, if you could help an endangered species of your choice, what would you pick?
You know, what you call the killer whale, was it? I hate that they are called killer whales. Poor animals. I love those. Absolutely.
Thank you. Now, we do call them the killer whales, But they also have a much kinder, nicer name that isn't used as often, but it's orcas. Now, orcas are wonderful animals, and I prefer calling them orcas because it is a nicer name. And calling them killer whales is not fun. But orcas are awesome animals, and you should definitely go help out the orca and many other species at WWF.org. For my book recommendation this week, I'm recommending this book, Enrico's Vespa, by Robin Davey, Micah Hahn, I don't know, and Elena Pongigolone. I don't know, but it's a really good book, and I enjoyed it. It's a fun little story, and we got it in Europe, so it's extra special. For my adventure this week, not this week, but last week, the last few weeks, I was in Europe, and it was awesome. So I went to Switzerland, Italy, France, Monaco, and Spain. And I absolutely loved it, and I had a blast. Now, I'm just going to go over some of my favorite points of all the countries I went to. In Switzerland, my favorite thing in Switzerland was either just walking around the streets of Lucerne, or I also really enjoyed climbing Mount Pilatus. We didn't really climb it, we rode like a cogwheel train up it, but it was still really cool. For Italy, my favorite part was probably, I don't know, I'm probably about to butcher the pronunciation, but the Cinque Terre was awesome. It was just like 5 little towns along a coastline, and me along with a few other people, we hiked from one between another. That was pretty cool, but I really liked the first one we went to. It was awesome. It really looked like Lucca, and it was pretty cool. And then for France, my favorite thing in France, we went to, I don't know how to say the name of the city, but we went to the Palace of the Popes, and it was just awesome. It was really cool to see this like really old and cool structure. And then we did a scavenger hunt there. That was really fun. I also really like in Nimes, we saw an amphitheater, and it was really cool, and it was just cool to see how like big it was, and it was like that's still there after so many years because it was from the Roman Empire, but it carried over. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And then in Spain, we went to Barcelona, which was fun. I really liked the bike tour there. That was awesome. And then in Madrid, it was so cool. In Madrid, we saw the Royal Palace. We got to take an inside tour of the Royal Palace, which was just awesome. And it was just a really cool building, and we saw a lot of cool things, including a Stradivarius collection, which is very cool. And we saw a lot of clocks that one of them had, and we learned some cool stories from our tour guide, and it was just really cool. And I loved the experience as a whole, and it was really super awesome. I'm your host, Cohen Vogel, signing off. You should come see me in SBLT's production of Cinderella and the Fairy Godfather. It is out at the Castle at Storybookland at Tuesday at 10, and then at Wednesday and Friday at 7 p.m. It'll be really fun, and I hope to see you there.